India's substantial tribal population, numbering over 100 million, underscores the pivotal role that the development of tribal economies plays in shaping the country's comprehensive development agenda. The India at 100 series is committed to addressing the challenges faced by the tribal economy and exploring strategies for achieving ecological intensification within this community. Presented by the DCM Shriram Foundation with knowledge partner the Indian School of Development Management, the show will underscore the vital role that the tribal population can play in the nation's development given the provision of appropriate resources and incentives to foster progress.
Communities face economic challenges due to inadequate investment in farming infrastructure, a lack of modern agricultural practices, limited market access, and organizational shortcomings. These issues are compounded by their isolated locations, difficult terrain, complex land ownership, and limited exposure to mainstream knowledge. Addressing these challenges required the development of a well-structured plan to empower these communities. It involves educating them about resource management and agriculture, strengthening their institutions and introducing innovations like solar irrigation systems to enhance crop yields, protect against dry spells and ensure year-round farming. Let's understand from the experts on why there is an urgent need to actively tackle this issue.
Hi and welcome back to India at 100. My name is Gaurav Shah and I'm a co-founder at the Indian School of Development Management. Today on this episode, we'll talk about bioregionalism, or building local geography-based community resilience as a tool of dealing with climate change. And to discuss this with us, we have Sameer Shishodia, CEO of Rain Matter Foundation. Rain Matter Foundation supports individuals and organizations working on climate change with a focus on afforestation, ecology and livelihoods. Welcome, Sameer. What do you mean by bioregionalism and why is it important in the context of climate change?
Bioregionalism is a term we stumbled upon as we were on this journey of understanding climate. We realized that like the whole planet, all societies, all biology on it has evolved in the context of a certain geography, the weather systems there and so on and so forth. And you are well adapted to it. Your food came from there, your construction came from there, all your needs were met within where you lived. And you understood that really well and you started using it for whatever purposes you needed. Over time, we actually went further and further away from it. As the supply chains lengthened, your own bioregion became less and less relevant for you. You were looking at markets elsewhere, you were looking at supply chains supplying your daily needs from elsewhere, and so on and so forth. And this has wreaked havoc on the entire planet. So we believe that at the root of what's gone wrong, not just for climate change, but for a host of other issues, is this distancing from our surroundings and our bioregion.
That's fascinating, Sameer. But this is really complex work. I mean, it's systemic, it's multi-sectoral, it's holistic. Can you help us understand what are the various elements that need to come together to make this idea of bioregionalism happen?
Sure. I mean, it's like the UN's Secretary General said recently, it's everything, everywhere, all at once. It's in every facet of our life because it's how we evolved, it's how we lived in a place. Every aspect of human activity delved into your surroundings and borrowed from it, right? So it touches upon everything. And this is something we are still learning, we are still realizing as we go deeper down the rabbit hole. We started with energy and mobility because that was the climate conversation when we started. But very soon we realized it intersects with food systems, it intersects with urban design, with the structure of our economy, the supply chains, the fabric we wear, and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's a quest we are going to end. It's the network of life and economy and everything we've created on this planet. We have to look at it.
How do you build a broader societal buy-in for an idea which goes beyond the self for an idea like bioregionalism?
I think there is a time scale and a geography scale to self, right? For instance, in even at an individual level, you would choose delicious food very often. But as you start to understand the health implications of it, you will try to make a balance. Getting up in the alarm in the morning when the alarm goes off might seem painful, but it's great to do yoga then, or go for a run, or do stretches, because you are able to make these trade-offs. You understand what's good for you in the medium and the long run. Who's doing that for the collective? Who's doing that for our panchayats, for our cities and wards, and so on and so forth? So I think it's in our own self-interest that the collective be strengthened. If our places are all completely out of assets, if our air quality is such that our kids are living 15 years lesser, I don't think it is in our individual interest. And we are able to see that in many cases. It is just that the collective conversation and narrative around it has kind of fallen apart.
What would a resilient geography and community look like from an India at 100 perspective?
So that's a tough one. If I were to dream very big about it, I think at the level of each cluster, at the level of each ward, we'd be in charge of our places. We'd understand them better along all the dimensions. We'd be in charge of our own production, in sync with our places. Today, a lot of what we do, up to 80% of a village's daily needs, come from somewhere else, way outside the cluster. That represents a huge loss. I think if we bring it down to even 40% or 50%, that represents a huge shift. It represents a huge shift in decentralized production and the economic benefit you get out of it, the loss of expense that you have on it, the health and nutrition benefits, the biodiversity there, and just local ownership of your resources, of your own future.
Thank you so much, Sameer, for sharing your thoughts on such an important topic. And I really hope that we see a lot of action on this idea in the years to come.
Thanks, Gaurav. For the sake of my kids, I hope so too.
Let's spend some time in understanding how some of these ideas are actually being actioned on the ground.
Several interventions were made to transform the situation in Chinnarama village, supported by Vasan. The transformation highlights how simple improvements can boost farmers' incomes and resilience, especially in unique ecosystems. Provision of night shelters and regular vaccination in Chinnarama village brought about a remarkable transformation in the Desi BYP economy. The intervention led to a 95% reduction in bird mortality, and annual losses decreased from Rs 40,000 to Rs 2,000. Flock size per household nearly tripled, resulting in an average gain of Rs 2,800 per household. Household consumption of Desi BYP also significantly increased, with 59% of households now consuming it, up from 12%.
కానీ ఈ నాటుకోళ్ల పెంపకంలో మేము చాలా వరకు 60 నుంచి 70% వరకు నాటుకోళ్లు అనేవి చనిపోతుండేవి. ఇవి ఎలా నివారించాలి ఏంటి అనే దశలో మాకు వాసన సంస్థ వారు ఇక్కడ గత 4 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి పనిచేసి మా గ్రామాల్లో అనేక రకాల పనులు చేస్తూ ఈ నాటుకోళ్ల పెంపకం పైన కూడా అవగాహన కల్పించారు. అందులో మా గ్రామానికి సంబంధించి ఆరుద్రమ్మ గారు వ్యాక్సినేటర్గా పనిచేస్తున్నారు. ఈ వ్యాక్సినేషన్ వల్ల ప్రతి 2 నెలలకు ఒకసారి లసోటా అని, పౌల్ పాక్స్, ఇలా అనేక రకాల వ్యాక్సిన్స్ వేయడం వల్ల మాకు ఈ గత 4 సంవత్సరాల నుండి చూసుకుంటే కనుక మరణాల రేటు, తెగుళ్ళ నివారణ అనేది బాగుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఒక 10% వరకే కోళ్ళు అనేవి చనిపోవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఈ పంట భూమి కొనుక్కోవడం, చిన్న చిన్న అవసరాలు, పిల్లల చదువులకి నాటుకోళ్ళు అమ్మి నాకు జీవనం అనేది సాగించగలుగుతున్నాను. దీనివల్ల నాకు చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంది.
Chinnarama village's success demonstrates how simple improvements in Desi poultry systems can boost farmer incomes and resilience, especially in arid regions. Drawing from 7 years of experience, future policies and programs should involve self-help groups, SHGs, to enhance poultry management, collaborate with non-profit rural development organizations, and forge partnerships between various stakeholders, supporting Desi poultry breed farm enterprises, which earn Rs 80,000 to 1 lakh per year income in a year from 1 AC of land. Implementing local healthcare services and promoting community-managed bird insurance are essential for sustainable growth in tribal communities.
In this episode, we've talked about profoundly philosophical yet practical issues. Going back to our roots, building self-sufficient and self-reliant communities by taking charge and ownership of their bioregion. This will require a fundamental shift in mindset, in the way of living, and the ability to visualize humanity through an interdependent systems lens rather than in silos. We have just one planet, and we need to make it work for all of us.